Well, there's junk all over it, but it's starting to look like a car. It's got the windshield in it. Windshield went in really easy. Kept hearing horror stories of these things breaking and the seals not being right, and this thing slipped right in there. So that was very nice. Got the back glass in a couple days ago. That one was a bit of a nightmare. It almost seemed like either the gasket or the glass itself is like an eighth of an inch too short. There is kind of a big gap, top and bottom, but it's seated all the way in there. It's right up against this clip here, so it's not going to go in any farther. But kind of weird, but it is still in there. Just took a couple hours of wrestling. So anyways, so this is old. I don't know if this is original Chevy glass or if this is old replacement, but this is glass that I got with the car. The windshield I bought brand new, so I'll probably leave a link in the description of where I got the glass. I'm pretty darn happy with this windshield. But it came with a new seal. That slipped right in, and it has the groove for the upper trim. So on these cars, the upper trim actually clips into the rubber seal. It's got like an L, so it hooks in there. So you got to put this on. You can put the seal around the window, but then you got to put the trim on the seal before you stick it in the car. But that went in. This had a bunch of little dings in it, and you can still tell they're there, but I definitely got it a lot better than it was. This one here was like completely kinked in. So you can still tell it's there. It needs to be finished up, but it's better than it was. So I may or may not end up pulling this trim back out when I repaint the whole car anyways. So I'm not going to be super picky on it just yet. I might see if I can find a good set of trim, and then that way if I try and fix this and screw it up, then it won't matter. So anyways, windshield's in. I painted the top of the dash before I put the windshield in there, because I wasn't sure there'd be much room to get a paint gun in there, but there's plenty of room. So realistically, if I need to touch anything up or whatever, there is enough room to paint this with the windshield in it. So, but dash turned out pretty well. Not 100%, but I'm gonna say it's a good 7 out of 10 driver quality. I think it'll polish up pretty well, so pretty happy with that. I just wanted to get some kind of paint on it before I put the window in it, just in case it was going to be a pain. Paint it later. Got the instrument cluster in it. I put new lenses in the idiot lights here, and new to me speedometer and lenses. I think the temperature gauge is dead, but the fuel gauge may work. It seemed to move when I was putting power to it. So that's in there. It's going to have to come back out. I had a couple things I think I needed to do under the dash, but it's in there for right now. I put all brand new wiring up under the dash. I don't know if we'll be able to see any of that. Probably see some of it in through here. But this is the American Auto Wire Factory Fit Kit, and it's very nice. Would definitely recommend them. Everything is 100% the same as what I pulled out of the car. So all the factory connectors, everything's taped up the factory length. Wires are all the same length, so it went in very nicely. So the under dash harness is replaced. I have a headlight harness on order. The headlight harness is what runs the generator. So until I have that harness in there, it's not going to charge the battery. But I may replace this later with an actual factory harness, but they're $85 and it's really only like 4 wires. So for right now, I just put together a little harness myself. But the wires that go from the ignition switch to the starter and this ballast resistor here, I just made up a little harness. So it does start and run off the key now. And like I say, once I get that other harness in here, that'll hook the regulator to the generator. and then theoretically it'll start charging. Put a new battery tray in it. So a battery fits nicely in there now. One of these days, I'm going to look forward to replacing this aluminum radiator, but could not find a copper brass one. They're all out of stock for a while, so been on the search for a used one. But other than that, it's looking pretty good in the engine bay. That's actually a Ford Fairlane air cleaner. I found an actual 57 4-barrel air cleaner at the swap meet, but people are really proud of those things. So, figure I will try and find something that's not just a plain Jane chrome filter for it. I want it to look almost original. So, don't know what else I did. I made the brackets for the seat. So this is a 56 Oldsmobile seat. If I can find my flashlight, maybe we can see something here. Probably not going to be able to find my flashlight. But it's a 56 Oldsmobile seat. And the seat pan on an Olds is evidently different than a Chevy. So, but I just made a little bracket. Probably still can't see anything. Maybe you can see over there. So, I just made a bracket that mounts to the floor with the Chevy little bolt pattern there, and then welded the back of the seat track onto that plate. And in the front, all I had to do was chop the bottom of this down here and just make it flat, because originally it curved down. I guess the Oldsmobile floor had a hump there. So I just cut that flat and fits the floor. Everything else lines up. And I mean, that's not the best, but when I pull the seat out, I'll round the edges off and stuff. So that'll be in there for now. One of these days I'm going to try and find an actual 57 Chevy seat, but again, people are pretty proud of those things. So when you do find them, they're very expensive. So that's that. I also scored at the swap meet and found 1957 license plate for it. I put in the paperwork about 2 weeks ago to get it registered, so hopefully that goes through. I've got one of those on my 65 Mustang. I actually found a 65 plate for that one, and it took a couple weeks to get a response from them, but they did register it. So around here you only have to have one plate, and all you do is register the car normally, and then you put in an application for a specialty plate, and they just basically transfer your registration from your normal plate to this one. So hopefully that'll work out. But it's coming along. I gotta order the side glass. I just gotta figure out what weather stripping I need. I know I'm gonna need seals for these back corner windows, and the little channel seals for the vent windows. I'll probably get new felts, little fuzzy things for in here. So I just gotta make a list of what all I need, and then I'll try and get all the side glass and weather stripping stuff all at once. That way I can just tear into it and hopefully get it done. But I think the regulators are all good. I know that side tries to roll up and down, but this one probably just needs to be greased up. So hopefully it's not going to take anything major to get side glass in it, but at this point, that's pretty much all it needs. I did replace, if I can find the flashlight again, I replaced the intermediate brake line and the fuel line. Those were terrible. So this is the second time that I've bought the fancy pre-bent lines, thinking that I was doing myself a favor, and that was like the worst decision I've ever made. So you're best off just getting a roll of tubing and a bunch of these little stainless clips. You can get these on eBay for like 20 bucks. They're stainless steel. So there's a 3/8 for your fuel line and a 5/16 for your brake line. Or you can get them the same size, whatever size lines you're running. They're stainless and they come with these nice little Allen head screws. So you can just drill and tap your frame rail and screw these in. And they look nicer than the originals. So I got them running in there. I opted for the 3/8 fuel line for no reason other than if I ever run the dual quad 265 in this thing, it'll be original. So don't really know if it needs the 3/8 line, but the factory thought that it did, so I figured might as well stick it in there. So since this was a 6-cylinder car, it had the fuel lines and the brake lines running on the inside of the frame rail. But on the dual exhaust cars, V8 cars, they ran them on the outside. So since I put long tube headers on this thing, I don't know if you can tell, so you can see the original brake line is still in there and it's practically touching the header. And so since this thing has got 4-wheel drum brakes, I didn't want to have any chance of adding any more heat to the fluid and causing even more brake fade than I'm already going to have to deal with. So I ran them on the outside, new lines, and haven't bled the brakes yet, but as soon as I bleed the brakes should be all done. And I ordered a sending unit. Since it's the 3/8 line versus the 5/16, I got to put a different sending unit in it. So as soon as that gets here, I'm going to flush the tank out, put that sending unit in it, and hopefully it'll run off the tank. I've just got that little boat tank in it right now, but it's all working out thus far. So I also ended up getting a set of, I believe these are Buick factory rally wheels. These are basically Magnum 500s out of the Oldsmobile, Buick, and Pontiac. These are the closest to a Magnum 500. And I really like those wheels. And these were dirt cheap locally. Some guy was just getting rid of them. So figure I might throw some tires on these and stick them on the car and see how I like it. Eventually I am going to put the stock steel wheels back on it. The 15x6s. So not really original, because they were 14s in 57, but I'm going to run the 15x6 regular stamped steel wheel, and I want to get some Coker bias plies for it. But before I spend $1,500 on tires, I figure I should probably replace all the suspension bushings and align the things so I'm not tearing up very expensive tires. But for now, we'll see how those rally wheels look. And I also got shocks for the front. I think that was the last thing I did. So I got shocks for the front, just got to put them in. And that will pretty much button up the front end. It'll be complete at least. It's still going to need bushings, but it'll be all ready to go down the road.